Today we're going to discuss a growing health concern in our nation, kidney disease. I am your host, Dr. Tara Defoe, and you're watching On the Floor. My guest today will discuss kidney disease. Please welcome Angela Hubble and Jeanette Bridges. Please welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Kidney disease is one of the growing topics in our nation, but your organization is doing something to help not only prevent, but to educate on kidney disease. Please discuss what is DaVita doing and where are you located?
Well, DaVita is nationwide. We have over 2,000 facilities in the United States, and then in 10 other countries we have about 70 other facilities. Within Michigan we have over 80 facilities, and in the Detroit area upwards of about 20. So we're all over.
And what are you doing now to educate those about kidney disease?
That's a really good question. DaVita really cares about reaching out into the community and making sure that our patient population and potentially future patients are well educated about how to control their risk factors for kidney disease, so like their diabetes and their high blood pressure. And so we've developed some really incredible programs to assist us in doing that. One of our programs is actually called Kidney Smart, and it is actually a pretty new program to us. We've had other versions of it over the years, but this is new and improved. It's a very comprehensive and interactive CKD education program where you'll see our educators that are teaching the classes not only using videos and animation, but also a lot of hands-on tools with the people in their classes. So you might see one of our educators come in and bring a dialysis machine that we use for our home patient population called a cycler machine. They might also bring a PD catheter so a patient can touch it and hold it and get comfortable with it before they will ever have it placed. We also have little pieces of Gore-Tex graft that we use as accesses. So we let them touch that, look at the dialyzer. So it's a very hands-on approach. What we're doing is we're trying to really reach every single type of learning style because we all learn differently as adults. Some of us are very auditory learners, some of us are tactile. So our program is really cool because it addresses all those different kinds of learning types and skills. So in addition to Kidney Smart, we also have something called DaVita.com. And so that's a website that we have. On that website, people can get information about risk factors for kidney disease, treatment options, information about traveling and being on dialysis, because it is still possible to travel, working and being on dialysis. A lot of people think, oh, I'm starting dialysis, I need to stop working. But in reality, you can continue to work and have great healthcare benefits. And so there's a little piece on that. And it also links individuals to our Kidney Smart classes on DaVita.com. So there's a quick little link there so they can find classes near them there. And the most important, I think, great piece about DaVita.com is they have a section called DaVita Diet Helper. So those individuals that need information about diet related to high blood pressure or diabetes or even kidney disease, before and after they start dialysis, their diets are very different. So we have information and diets in there, not necessarily diets, but tons of recipes. Yeah. Over 1,000 recipes are listed in that website, and people can get on there, pick and choose which recipes they want to try. They're easily identified as whether they're good for diabetes or not.
Wow.
and then they can just build a recipe inventory and kind of use those at their leisure, and learn how to cook the right way. So
And these are recipes that are friendly to their dialysis treatment.
To the restrictions.
To their restrictions, so they could be varied. Some of the diets are really appropriate for those with just diabetes and not yet on dialysis, so diabetes and kidney disease. Some of them are appropriate more for the people that are on dialysis, and each recipe clearly indicates that at the top it has a check mark next to where what type of diet it is and who's
Which
it
one it's
appropriate
friendly for.
Jeanette, it says 1 out of 10 adults in the USA have kidney disease but don't know it. How can that be?
Because the symptoms are kind of insidious initially, and it goes unnoticed. Flu-like symptoms, change in your appetite, a poor appetite. Sometimes people will get like a metallic taste in their mouth. Trouble sleeping, but also being really tired. They may notice swelling, like in their hands and in their ankles, but you know, people get that a lot of times, and you don't think that it's kidney related.
Right, I mean, because if it's flu-like symptoms, a person can easily mistake that for, you know, I'm coming down with a cold or I have a flu.
Absolutely.
So is it long-term? Because at some time, the flu has to stop.
Right. Sometimes what happens is the patient will eventually go to the doctor because they've had the flu for a few weeks, because it even takes a while. You can have kidney disease, and kidney failure is a progression. You don't just automatically stop having kidney function. It slowly decreases. Well, not too many people really pay attention to their urinary output or anything like that. So for years you can have it and it not be noticeable or detectable.
And this is when preventive care really comes in handy.
Absolutely, yeah. You really need to be following up with your doctor on an annual basis anyways. I mean, everybody should be doing that. But if you tend to be predisposed to it because of your race or having hypertension, having diabetes, if you have a family history of it, then your primary physician should definitely be evaluating you and testing you on it on a minimum of an annual basis.
Is there an age restriction on getting screened?
No, no. We have, DaVita dialyzes pediatric patients in some facilities, so we do have children that have kidney failure. Pediatrics, you know, teenagers and stuff, they end up with hypertension, they end up with diabetes, so they end up with kidney failure too. Mm-hmm. Wow. So, like I said, if you're predisposed to it, if you have a family history, if you have a genetic predisposition to it, then you're going to be getting monitored more closely.
Angela, how essential is the kidneys for those who may be watching at home? You know, we learned about our organs in high school, maybe had some college courses on it, but after that, we don't pay attention to the kidney. We know, or we're told, don't drink, you know, alcohol, liquor, you know, that damages the kidney. But how essential is the kidney?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I actually talk about that a lot in our classes, in our Kidney Smart classes. You know, our kidneys work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're only the size of our fists.
Wow.
But they're very important organs in our body. Some of the basic functions of the kidneys are, they're filtering out waste products. So these waste products come from the foods that we eat, like the proteins that we eat in our diet. So the fish, turkey, eggs, you know. But they also come from just muscle movement. You know, every time we use a muscle, we're producing a little bit of waste product. And those kidneys are constantly filtering those waste products out. The kidneys are also in charge of filtering out minerals and chemicals. So say I'm eating a lot of tomatoes because my garden has just come in. Tomatoes are really high in potassium. If my kidneys aren't working really well, that potassium can become toxic to me basically and cause lots of problems. Same thing with over-the-counter medicines and supplements, because the kidneys are in charge of filtering out those minerals and chemicals as well. And like she said, one of the symptoms of kidney disease could be fluid overload. We call it edema. because those kidneys are filtering out extra fluid. When they're working healthy, perfectly fine, they know how much fluid we need in our body and how much to get rid of. But as they start to lose their function, that whole process breaks down. So we begin to, I joke with my patients, become like human pufferfish,
Yeah.
And then the kidney is also in charge of making hormones as well in our body. So hormones that control our blood pressure, hormones that help us to make red blood cells. And red blood cells carry oxygen to every single part of our body. So without oxygen, simple things like walking from here to you become difficult. We call that anemic. People become anemic when they don't have enough red blood cells. So they need that hormone the kidney makes and iron to make those blood cells. And then kidney helps with our bones as well because it activates the vitamin D that we get from sunlight exposure and the foods that we eat so that it can be used in our bodies to make strong bones. So you can see they're really important, more than just making pee,
And that's what we know the kidney to do. Is it just a myth that your body can function off of one kidney?
No, that's true.
That's true. I mean, think about it
Thankfully.
this way. Yeah. How many kidneys do we give you if we give you a transplant? Think about it that way. We give you one.
And it leaves you with one.
One kidney can do the work of two.
Wow.
So there are some people that are born with just one kidney. So it's possible that can, function just fine.
Wow. So if I'm with one kidney, or I started with two, and then I'm down to one, I won't see a change, or will I notice, or will there be some change?
Not always, no, because you can live a healthy, normal life with just one kidney functioning.
Yeah, the other one kind of just picks up the slack probably most of the time. When the one starts being injured or breaking down, the other one just picks up the work.
Compensates.
And compensates.
What is the connection between the blood pressure and your kidney function? I heard you say, hypertension was one of the things. So what is the connection?
Do you want me to take this, or do you want to?
I can. We have really small vessels within the kidneys that bring the blood to the kidneys, and when you have high blood pressure and you start having damage to the vessels, your smaller vessels are the first ones that get damaged.
And so when that happens,
again, the blood is going to the kidneys in a way, so if you're not getting the nutrients to your kidneys, then that contributes to the kidney failure.
and is that over time? Will I notice the change, or is it an instant?
Over time.
Over time. That's why we call it chronic kidney disease. Chronic means something is happening over a long period of time. It's different from what we call acute kidney disease, where, say, I was driving here today and I had a car accident and my kidneys got injured during that time and they lost their function. But as I heal, my kidneys resume their function. That's an acute condition, short term. Chronic means it's happening over a long period of time, most likely because of something that, like high blood pressure, diabetes, genetic issues, like she mentioned earlier. There's a lot of genetic issues that can cause kidney damage as well. And so, you don't necessarily feel those things coming on. You kind of just get accustomed to not feeling so good. A lot of our patients say, a lot of our patients will say, once they start dialysis, they go, I can't believe how much better I feel.
And we're going to take a brief break, so when we come back, I want to talk about what are the patients saying. I am your host, Dr. Tara Defoe, and you're watching On the Floor.
The Detroit Dashboard is a great way for our community to stay on top of what's happening in city government. If you want to know how many LED lights we've installed, if you want to know how many vacant lots we've mowed, the dashboard is your guide. The Detroit Dashboard is pretty simple. It's an email we send out every single week to keep our community updated on what's happening within city government. Pull it up from your iPhone, from your computer. It'll be a way for you to stay connected. It's a great way for our community staying connected with what's happening within city government. For too long, we've spent too much time
We found our dream home at buildingdetroit.org.
We were particularly drawn to the Boston Edison neighborhood.
So I looked on the website, saw this home here. I immediately called my husband. The adrenaline started rushing because like, oh my God, I hope I win, I hope I win. We knew because the price was so great and within our budget that we would have enough money to finish the work and restore this home to its original splendor.
It's a very exciting time for my family and for Detroit.
Find your dream home at buildingdetroit.org.
Waiting for a DDOT bus? Simply text your closest street address or intersection to Text My Bus at 50464 to find out when the next bus will arrive. You will receive a list of nearby bus routes. Text back the letter next to your route. You will get a message back indicating the closest bus stop and bus arrival times. Bus stop, bus route, and real-time arrival of the next bus. Sometimes you'll get the real-time or scheduled arrival of the second and third buses too. It's just that simple. Oh yeah, Text My Bus works on all cell phones. So go ahead and text My Bus. Go to ridedetroittransit.com for more information.
Welcome back. Today we're discussing kidney disease. Ladies, we shared a lot of information in the first part and about kidneys. We discussed, there's no age restrictions on screenings and when we should start getting screened for our kidney functioning well. What else do you think we're missing in kidney health?
I think early intervention and education, we're missing that piece. Right now, we only probably reach 2% of all patients before they start dialysis and provide them with the education piece.
Wow.
And so a lot of them are starting dialysis and they don't know what kind of treatment options are available to them. They don't know the differences, the pros and cons of each of the treatment options. They didn't know what they could do to manage their risk factors before. And so these education pieces like Kidney Smart are something that really we need to improve upon and really get out there, get the word out there and get more patients through the programs.
You mentioned dialysis, so let's talk about dialysis. Most of us, we have been touched by someone who may have went through some sort of kidney treatment option. But what is dialysis and when do you get to the place that dialysis is a treatment for you?
Well, Angela touched on it a bit as far as the symptoms that you have and the fluid overload that comes with it. So dialysis is really, when you get to that point, that stage where you need dialysis, the amount of dialysis that you need depends on a few things. Everybody, for the most part, is going to dialyze 3 times a week.
Wow.
We have 2 different shifts. We have Monday, Wednesday, Friday patients. We have Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday patients. You can travel if you miss a day. Maybe you're a Monday, Wednesday, Friday patient. If you miss a day, we're going to bring you in on Saturday or one of your off days because it's imperative that you get your 3 treatments every week. Based on your weight, based on lab results, your fluid intake, your diet intake, how compliant you are with that, all of those are going to play a role in how long your dialysis treatments are each day. So on average, you may dialyze 3 hours to some patients are at 6.5 hours. And you come in and you get hooked up to the machine, you get needles put in. If you're one of the lucky ones, some of our other patients have catheters in their necks, which is not the best choice, but sometimes when you crash into dialysis, because you don't know that you've had the kidney failure, the catheter is the first choice and the easiest choice to get you started in treatments.
And in dialysis, so I'm brand new to this. what am I getting? Is it fluid? Is it blood? What is the dialysis?
There's different kinds of dialysis, and that's what we talk about in classes like Kidney Smart. So what she's mentioning is hemodialysis, in-center hemodialysis. And, but there's also other options that don't require needles and blood. For example, peritoneal dialysis is something that our patients can do at home. They can do their peritoneal dialysis either throughout the day, 4 times a day, or they can do it at night while they sleep. And when you do peritoneal dialysis, you just have a catheter placed in your abdominal cavity, in your peritoneum, and we just use fluid. We put fluid in, let it sit there for a certain amount of time, and then we drain that fluid out when it's dirty. It's kind of like changing your oil, right? So that doesn't require any needles, and many of our patients really like that. And they can do it in the comfort of their home or while they're traveling or on vacation. So it's another therapy that we do have available to our patients, but we also have a version of hemodialysis that you can do at home as well, called home hemodialysis. And our patients are on the machine somewhere between 2 and 3 hours. And they're usually doing their dialysis 5 to 6 days a week. And they are taught how to place their own needles. So there is blood involved and needles involved, and how to run their own machine. So it's for those patients that really want to have their hands on everything and do their whole treatment and have some independence. And you can travel with that as well. You can take it on the road. So it's a great treatment option. Both of our home therapies, peritoneal dialysis or home hemodialysis, really give you the cleaning that most mimics the natural kidney. Because if you remember what we talked about earlier, the kidneys work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right?
When they're healthy.
When they're nice and healthy. So if you're doing your peritoneal dialysis daily, you know, say we're doing it at night while we sleep, they're on the machine for 10 hours. So 10 hours, 7 days a week. So you're getting a pretty good cleaning. So those treatment options allow them to eat more in their diet, have flexibility with that diet as well. So it's a huge benefit.
With the treatment, if I'm receiving it for the first time, what do I expect?
Sensory overload.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, confusion. We usually would like for our patients to come in a few hours before their scheduled time so that our social worker and dietitian, facility administrator, the staff can meet with them, go over some things with them, show them around a little bit, introduce them, and make it as easy of a transition as possible.
Angela, under your program, the education side, what are you seeing more of? Are you seeing more women than men? The age range, what are you experiencing?
You know, kidney failure really doesn't distinguish between any of that. I mean, it can hit every single one of us. We're all prone to it if we have those risk factors or genetic issues. We do see a high amount of African American population as well as Hispanics because they're more prone to it. So we see a lot of that in our classes. And so we're educating them as early as possible to make sure that they have the tools needed to get through every single stage of kidney disease, because there's more than just one stage. There's 5 stages of kidney disease. So when we catch a patient in stage 3, which is moderate kidney disease, we can make huge improvements in diet and medication adherence and hopefully slow down the progression of that disease process. If not, stop it in its tracks and keep you off from dialysis.
So stage 1 and 2, those are early?
Normal kind of functions, yeah.
Even stage 2 and stage 3 are still stages that you may be undiagnosed.
Exactly.
Wow, and then of course 4 and 5 are not.
4 and 5 you may start to have symptoms, and sometimes they're obvious, sometimes they're not. Like we were saying earlier, we just kind of get used to not feeling good sometimes. I mean, you know, we come to work sick and take care of our kids sick and our parents and things like that, feeling a little under the weather. Sometimes that's just the way we feel on a regular basis, and when we have a good day, you know, it's a rarity. So you can even have stage 4 and really not know it, be undiagnosed.
Angela, when you're teaching the classes, what What are some of the feedback that you get back from the patients?
They're very thankful. This is a very rewarding job. It's probably one of my most rewarding jobs that I've ever done. And I've been in the dialysis industry for 20 years now as a dietitian. And so when I began doing this 3 years ago, I just loved it, because reaching those patients early on and seeing that light bulb come on and then realize, oh, you mean if I did take care of my diabetes or my high blood pressure, then, you know, things, you know, might not get as worse as we thought. And I go, well, it's always possible. We're not going to stick our head in the sands and kind of just ignore it, right? So they're very appreciative and thankful for the information. And a lot of times they wish they would have heard it earlier on, because we're still receiving these patients in the very late stages of kidney disease, not in that stage 3 that we want to see them in, but more the late stage 4 and if not 5, and you're getting pretty close to dialysis then.
Wow. And then how do you track your patients when they're going through dialysis? You have a impact patient?
We have an impact program in DaVita for patients that are brand new to dialysis, their first 90 days. In that first year of dialysis, you'll lose a large majority of the patients to death.
Wow.
Within that 90 days, your first 90 days, 44% of the patients that die that first year will die within that 90 days. So we pay a lot of attention to our impact patients, our new patients, with education, monitoring, teaching them about their labs, their diet, their compliance with dialysis. They come in and really we're telling them what they can eat, what they can drink, and how they're going to be spending their time now. So they really go through some grieving processes. So our social workers become really important to our impact patients. And it's really just trying to get to know them, trying to put them at ease, let them know that it is a process, you know, getting to know them and how their dialysis is going to go for them, symptoms that they may have. Your dialysis treatment is going to go a lot better and be uneventful if you're compliant. If you're taking your medication, if you're restricting your fluid intake, if you're compliant with your diet, the dialysis treatment goes a lot easier. Our patients are part of the care team.
So it sounds like DaVita does a well wraparound services. At the same time, you have a physician, you have your dietitians, so it's a whole wraparound approach to treating the patient and making sure that the patient's well-being comes first.
We call it our core team. We have our patient, our doctors, dietitians, social workers, and the nurses.
That's the beautiful thing about DaVita is we really work as a team. We have a team approach, and our overall goal is to make the best clinical outcomes possible for our patients and make sure that they're very well taken care of. And so that starts all the way in the beginning, even with Kidney Smart. You know, as she said, in the first 90 days, you know, you're making you want to make sure that they get the best dialysis possible. So if they come in and they don't have that access in place in time and they end up with a catheter to do their dialysis, they're going to get very poor dialysis and poor clinical outcomes. So once again, that's another reason why preventative, you know, and teaching them all the different access options and the importance of early access placement is important.
Well, again, ladies, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm sure the information that was shared today is going to help someone out there. So again, thank you for coming to the show. I am your host, Dr. Tara Defoe, and you've been watching On the Floor.